Yeah, welcome to the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura, 65 years of four-stroke research and development. Check them out at yoshimura-rd.com. As we mentioned last week, GT, TG, Tiga, Tim Geiser. I'm not sure how the nicknames translate into standard American English, but I do know he is now a three-time MXGP world champ, once in the MX2 class. Well, twice in the MXGP class, sorry. Three-time world champion, two in MXGP, once in MX2, each time on a Honda, shod with Yoshimura exhaust. Good job, Tim Geiser, and we'll see him at Monster Cup. That should be interesting. I like the fact that Tim is not taking no for an answer. It did not go well at all when he came for the race 2 years ago. He's going to try it again. Inside info, Mathis and I were talking to Eric Kehoe at Honda about this, and he said, yeah, if he wants to do it this time, he's going to come over and we're going to say, just start on our bike. I think he started on his stuff and tried to tweak it to meet like an American Supercross type track. I think Honda's going to ask him to go the other way this time. Suspension needs to be stiffer. But the exhaust from Yoshimura, that's definitely good. Also, Air Medcare Network on board with our pods now. What if you're hospitalized with an injury far from your home? You want to recover close to family and friends, and with an Air Medcare Network Fly Your Home membership, you'll have control of where you're treated. You'll be transported to your local hospital of choice with no out-of-pocket cost, and you can save $10 on the membership with offer code 10MOTO. Visit airmedcarenetwork.com/RacerX offer 1. That's the number 1. To sign up now. And speaking of Racer X, we have a new issue out. I mentioned it last week. I wrote a story talking to some trainers and riders and people around the teams over those 3 brutal races at midseason, Florida, Southwick, and Redbud back to back to back. That's exclusive to the magazine. Also exclusive, that Eli Tomac non-cover curse cover. How's that cover curse working out for you, everybody? Yeah, it's terrible. We'll probably go 12 straight covers without a problem, and then on the 13th, someone will get hurt, and they'll say, see? All right, so that's Racer X Illustrated. Let's move on to the wrap-up for Lucas Oil Pro Motocross in 2019. I'm Jason Weigandt, by the way. We have wrapped up a phenomenal season. One of the greatest seasons ever. I know the championships, neither one of them went down to the final lap of the final moto, so because of that, I cannot necessarily declare this the best season ever. But honestly, when you look at both motocross and supercross and how exciting the racing was, how deep the field was, how surprising the results were week in and week out, it'd be very hard to compete. Certain years are going to stick out because of one particularly crazy, memorable thing. But this year was just really good across the board. It's like I always say about where I live. I live in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. B+ in all categories. Not the best of anything on any particular subject, but really good. Not the best weather, not the worst weather. Not the most stuff to do, but a lot of stuff to do. Not the cheapest, but not the most expensive. Sometimes you got to take all goods over taking the good with the bad, and I think that's what 2019 brought us. Supercross, we had phenomenal racing, a shocking rejuvenation season from Cooper Webb, a Supercross championship that no one would have predicted, along with some great racing. The 450 class, I believe, as deep and competitive as we've ever seen it in both Supercross and Motocross. I know Eli Tomac wrapped up this championship early, but really look at the individual motos and how many times Roxon was on it and Musquin was on it and Osborne was on it. Blake Baggett won a moto. You just never really knew week to week exactly what was going to happen when the gates dropped. And then the 250 division, the absolute utter heartbreak for Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, missing out on both Supercross titles that looked like they were going to be theirs. And then the ultimate redemption story of Adam Cianciarulo, the first-round draft pick, the next big thing, the man who was going to carry the sport on his shoulders, and then eventually those shoulders broke, and it looked like he was done, and it was going to just be one of the all-time busts, coming all the way back to get right to the precipice again, only to blow it in Supercross, and then shockingly rebuild himself mentally in 2 weeks, completely turn his game around outdoors and win. It wasn't the most dominant 250 or 125 motocross season ever, but still one of the most impressive considering podium in every round. Ferrandis, Cooper, a lot of riders were throwing a lot at him, and he really never made a huge mistake. I know that Adam went off the track a couple of times, but he avoided the big mistake. Considering the pressure he was under and considering his track record of making mistakes in the past, this was a phenomenal turnaround. And that's just the on-track stuff. Off the track, this is one of the best stories this sport has had in quite some time. Rarely do you see this, someone with this level of talent. Actually, that part's rare. Rarely do you see someone with this level of talent in general. Even more rare does someone with that talent suffer this badly to the point where you think it's over. And then even more rare, someone like that comes all the way back from the depths to get to where they were supposed to be, which at least as of now is to be a 250 race winner, contender, and champion. Now, Adam's potential and talent are so high that I think really the expectations were he would go on to the big bike class and succeed there. That's yet to be determined. But I can very rarely think of a story like this. It has taken 6 years. He turned pro 6 years ago. We are 5 years past his phenomenal debut in Supercross where he was winning half of the races and leading the points, and then the injuries started. To think 5 years later he could dig himself out of that hole is amazing. But this is all a great gift because, as Adam said, he wouldn't have traded this journey for anything. He looks at life differently. He has a different perspective, and that's great for him, but it's also great for the sport. Because this rare circumstance, I cannot even come up with another career arc like this. This rare circumstance has gifted us a rider with great potential and talent and ability and determination, and I think he's 100% healthy now, and all those injuries are gone. But he has perspective like no other, which is going to help us. So I'll tell you the story now. When Adam was coming through the ranks and he was dominating, everyone wanted to know, is this kid for real? Is he the real deal? Does he really have it? Does he live up to the hype? I personally, in my position as a journalist, felt that I really couldn't try to weigh in on that realistically because we had already seen what had happened with James Stewart. With James Stewart, you had to say good things. If you did not say good things, James Stewart would not be happy. You would be ousted. You wouldn't get interviews. You wouldn't get access. That's the way it went. I'm telling you right now, that's the way it went. If you said anything negative about James Stewart, it would get back to James, and it was a problem. And we all got used to that's the way it was. Don't take shots at these guys on the top. They don't take well to it. Now look, easy argument to make saying when you are at the height, when you're the person talked about most, you're going to get both the most praise and the most crap. That's the way it's supposed to work. Nobody gets talked about more, good and bad, than LeBron James. That's how it goes. But unfortunately, in this sport, access is everything. If you lose it, you lose all. It's easy to watch a basketball game, see the media obligations and all the writing and all the other journalists who will do all the reporting, and ascertain enough. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith has to actually call LeBron James on the phone or interview him after a game to really know what's going on. But in this sport, you kind of do, man. You kind of do. Otherwise, you're just kind of on the outs from afar. It's just harder to see what's happening in a motocross race without getting the info from the rider himself. If a guy goes slow, how do you know it's arm pump or an injury or a bike problem or he doesn't like the track? How would you possibly know that unless you were to ask? You can't break it down watching film in the same way. So you have to have that access. So I would get asked all the time, hey, man, you go to Loretta's. Is Adam really as good as Stu or Carmichael or Villopoto? Is he the next big thing? Actually, I shouldn't even include Villopoto there because as a Team Green amateur, Villopoto was not as successful as Cianciarulo. My answer always was, I got to dance around this because I thought Adam was good. I'm not sure he was James Stewart level, but I was so afraid if I said he wasn't James Stewart level as a talent that I would be shut out forever. I'd be a hater. You have to be very careful. And then on the same token, I felt that if I went too far in praising him, then I was falling into the hype, then I was just kissing ass, I was just currying favor. So I tried to just stay neutral. And to be honest, I think I probably was more negative or tried not to buy into the hype on Adam. I skewed more that way because I really didn't want the backlash of, you're just kissing the dude's ass. It was just such a divisive topic. It's changed completely now. This is not a polarizing or divisive topic. Everybody loves Adam. Okay, maybe there's a few riders that he beat or could beat or will challenge. Competitors are different. But I will say that he's probably as well liked by his competitors as you could be liked by competitors. He's a good dude, and he's gone through a lot, and I think all the riders respect those two things. So he's as well liked by the riders as you can get. I think the industry is rooting for him. They've seen how far down he's gone. I think they realize that he could do great things for the sport because he's so well-spoken and such a great personality. And the fans certainly are on his side. How do you not root for a comeback story like this? So now you don't have to worry. You're allowed to openly praise Adam Cianciarulo without this being some sort of mega statement and getting people either love or hate on both sides. And second of all, Adam has been so far down, he no longer has that veneer of, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the man, how dare you say anything bad about me. Now, I had a podcast, this show, with Adam and Nick Wey back in April. And I asked Adam, do you think you would have been as easy to deal with fans and media if you had won right off the rip? Now, Adam said, yeah, I'd probably have been a little more cocky. Mitch Payton was in the back of the rig, and he said, I think you are who you are. Your personality is what it is. If you're not a jerk, you're not a jerk. And Mitch might be right, but we'll never know. We'll never know what 2019 Adam Cianciarulo would be like if he had won 5 250 titles compared to the one that is now won 1. But I'd have to think it would have affected him a bit. The roadmap was there. I cannot tell you back in the Reed Stewart Carmichael days how impenetrable the force field around these guys were. They were surrounded by these entourages. If they heard anything bad, you were this guy's guy. You were against me. You were with them or against them at all times. I really credit today's riders for not acting that way any longer. I think part of it is, believe it or not, there's not quite as much money in the industry, so there aren't quite as many entourage, man-friend, hanger-outers as there used to be. No one is quite as dominant as those guys used to be. So all those things have added up. In general, I think there's a little bit more rational sense in the pits than there were in the mid-2000s. The Stu Carmichael Reed days were nuts. But also it helps that Adam Cianciarulo has perspective like no other. He knows he's going to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. It's going to happen. And I think he's also realized that it really doesn't matter. He's just happy to be doing what he's doing. And for the most part, it's going to be positive. I mean, no one's out there saying a dude's a criminal or should be banned from the races or anything like that. But I do have some apologies. I've tried my best to stay as neutral as possible on Adam Cianciarulo. And there are times where I should probably have praised him more. And maybe there were times where I praised him less, and maybe that came off as negative. I'm not sure. But the good news is it doesn't matter. Because what really matters now is that he's good again, and he'll be in the 450 class. Eventually, he'll just be judged like all the other 450 racers. Probably too much analysis at times. But as of right now, it's just a feel-good story, and everybody is pumped on it. And he has once again met expectations, even with just this one title. So we're going to start this show off with our interviews from the Racer X Best Post Show Ever. Maybe you watched them on YouTube. I think these interviews are too good not to use, so I'm going to use it here as well. We start out, I actually grabbed Nick Wey because Adam was talking to Dylan Ferrandis, actually. So we grabbed Nick Wey, who is absolutely maybe the biggest part of Adam's turnaround over the last 2 or 3 years. And also we'll have Carrie Bowling in with the interview with Adam. She helps us out on the Best Post Show, does a good job. So enjoy Nick Wey and then Adam Cianciarulo, and then we even bring in Dylan Ferrandis. Even if you've heard this, it's worth listening to twice. So we're going to get some other guys. Hey, Wey, come over here, bro. That is mad respect right there. Dylan Ferrandis coming on over to have a chat. We'll let them talk. Let's bring, look, man, he's been singing your praises all year. Adam has, but I don't think it can be sung loud enough or well enough. Look, man, Adam was good. Adam's been fast, but it has been frustrating at times watching someone that a lot of people like, oh, he washed the front end. Oh, he made a mistake. Oh, he got hurt. Fixing that has got to be hard. How the heck did you guys fix it? You literally took a weakness and turned it into a strength. Consistency was his greatest asset this summer. How'd you do it?
Yeah, I had – it's for me, having so much experience racing, it was hard for me to pinpoint what my shortcomings were.
Okay.
But from me, outside looking in, I can pinpoint that pretty quickly.
Okay.
And obviously, I've maybe worked with him. This is maybe my 3rd year as his coach.
Yeah.
But those years were shortened because of injury.
Right.
But this year I worked with him as I scheduled all of his training, did training with him, and then also his coach, and I pinpointed exactly where we needed to improve. And it was in the middle of the series, and we worked on all of those, what we needed to do to improve there, and luckily that was enough to get us to the end here. Luckily, would have liked to have won a little bit more at the end, but today was awesome.
Talk about those 2 weeks. Super awesome. Talk about those 2 weeks between Vegas and here. I was wrong, man. I'm like, dude, that's practically an injury just mentally. And, dude, he wins the opener at Hangtown. What did you guys do in those 2 weeks to get that in the past?
Well, we had a lot of focus, to be honest with you. There was a lot of focus, and during Supercross with the breaks, we were working on outdoors a lot.
Okay.
Because I knew that's where a lot of those outdoor skills we needed to work on would transfer over to Supercross if Seattle was wet or if the races were ruddy or whatever the case was. So we were focusing on his short, on where he needed his weaknesses.
Yeah.
And we rode outdoors a lot because we were trying to work on his base fitness and things like that, and luckily it worked out in the long stretch.
Unbelievable. I mean, seriously, congrats to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Shoring up weaknesses is a lot harder than making strength stronger, right?
Well, and ultimately, too, it's he recognized that I could see exactly where he needed to be better, and he focused on that. I mean, obviously, I helped recognize that, and we worked to fix it.
Yeah.
But it's on him to really have a lot of focus and really trust in what the advice I was giving him, and really, trust what I was saying. And honestly, I'm super proud of what we've done, and he's a great rider and he's a good friend, and I'm excited to have him get the success.
Cool. All right, they're going to do speeches. We'll turn this off, and then we'll be back. Everybody, now we've got the champion, Adam Cianciarulo. First of all, you're talking to Mitch back there. He told some awesome stories. He said it was extra special because you guys, I didn't know this, you moved into his old house and stuff like that at one point? Jeez, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming with Mitch. I've known the guy. He's like a family member. I've been, since I was 12 years old, I've been with him so much, more than a lot of my family, honestly. So just to repay him with this, and obviously moving up to 450s next year, and can't write a better story. It's obviously, I guess you could write a better story, and that would look like 4 or 5 championships I could give him. But at the same time, it's been such a up and down career for me, and a lot of downs. And to end it on a high like this, it's something that I'm just so grateful for the journey now, and obviously looking back now, I'm glad I didn't. It's just made me who I am, and just made this feel so good. And I feel obviously happy for myself, and I'm proud of it. But at the same time, seeing all these pros, seeing everybody happy and stoked, just this whole scene right now. I'm going to look back on this forever. Not to get too sentimental, but this is everything for me. Seeing these guys happy, and 10 championships couldn't repay Mitch enough for what he's done for me. So I'm just over the moon.
Too sentimental is just fine. That'd be cool. Yeah. Go ahead.
You're being too serious up there. You just won a championship. You gotta tell us how you really feel. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I honestly feel numb. I told some guys earlier, it's been a long time. I was supposed to come into the pros, and I was supposed to be this next great guy, and I was supposed to win a bunch of titles and a bunch of races, and that didn't happen. And I felt it. I carried that weight with me. I'm pretty aware of my surroundings, and I felt kind of ashamed of myself, honestly. At one point I was depressed. I had no confidence in myself, nothing. I thought my career was over. 2015, 2016-ish, I felt like a complete failure, and just to do this now, I get it's only one title. It's not like Villapoto did or Carmichael did or anything, and just completely dominated for 5 years, but just means more to me than I could ever put into words.
And it's not just one title, it's your first title, so that means next year you could come out here and get another championship. The year after that, what's it feel like to have your name on one of these stores?
Yeah, it's crazy. I was actually watching the Great Outdoors 2005 earlier this week, and it legit almost brought me to tears, because growing up for me, this was everything. I looked at motocross as this ultimate high. These guys were on this different level, and that was all me. My parents and grandparents, everything, they weren't into it. It was all me, and it was organic, and it was everything I ever wanted was to be up there. And I was watching it earlier this week, and I'm like, I can't believe I have a chance just to have a little spot in the history of the sport, and that plate's going to stay on that door forever. And And for me, that's all I've ever wanted. You know, I had a lot of expectations on me early in my career, but I just wanted a small part of it. You know, I just wanted to, see what I had and to get to this spot. And it's just, it's crazy because I just love this sport more than anything.
You know, you're not supposed to, in our line of work, you're not supposed to, they say you don't root for the athlete, you root for the story. But look, everybody knew how good your story would be if you could finally get one of these. Look, if you had come in and won right off the bat, I think you would have been 50-50, say, with the fans of like, oh, everything works out great for this guy all the time. As an underdog, I don't think there's a single person probably in these pits. I even saw Ferrandis come over here, and the fans. I don't think there's a single person that can't be happy for you. I think that's one of the things you gained. That sucked to have to go through all that.
Totally.
But it probably makes it feel better at the support you must have gotten from fans and even your peers this year. It must be crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And I've really felt, when I first came into the pros, I was, from the outside looking in, I was a kid that had everything kind of given to me. As an amateur, I had a nice RV. I had all the support from when I was really young. I earned that because I won really young, and I just got sponsored, and that's the way it worked. But I had everything at my disposal, and I realized that too. But that's hard to root for. I mean, I'm a fan of many different sports, and when people carry that with them, it's tough to root for them, and I get it. And coming into my pro career, I was that guy that was like, wow, we'd rather see the other guy that's had a little bit tougher time do it, and it's just crazy. I've just changed. I would never be the person I am without the things I went through, because ultimately it's a sport, right? Like it's at the end of the day, you can step back from it, especially, maybe from your guys' perspective as journalists, you can step back and say, this is a sport, and then there's life. For me, it's I put all my self-worth, all my value in every single time I'm out there. And I was well aware coming in that I had everything at my disposal, even as an amateur. I mean, it weighed on me. Like why wouldn't I win? Because I have everything I need. And
did you feel a little pressure of like, man, I've got to live up to this?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And honestly, when I was going pro, I really didn't have the same belief in myself as everybody else seemed to have around me. I was unsure if I was going to be able to succeed as a pro, and that's truly honest. I remember riding Supercross the first couple times with Mitch and thinking to myself, like, dude, I don't know if I have this. Like, I was like scared going through these whoops and all this other stuff, and it's just crazy how it's come full circle. It's taken me so long, but I really don't. I don't care at all. I don't give a shit.
You know what has happened? It's like a cloud is lifted.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's like a cloud is lifted. I got one more thing for you. Dylan came over to have a little conversation. Somehow you guys kept it clean, despite being tooth and nail all year. So how did that go? What was the conversation about, and what was it like battling it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought it was super cool. Dylan, he's actually sitting right there.
Yeah, we'll grab him.
Yeah. But I think him coming over just shows his class. We've gone at it all year, and I'm not going to lie. There's certain times where you can't stand the guy because he's just so good, and he's always there. And feel like any other year, Dylan's not there. I feel like I would have dominated most of the whole year, but and we were talking about that, and I just think, he told me he felt bad for me after Supercross. Like, he was super stoked, but at the same time, he actually felt bad. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's something that I would feel too. Like, it's just funny to hear, you're racing a guy and you put him here in your mind, and then to hear the human side of him, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I've enjoyed racing him all year, and he's gotten so much better the last couple of years, and I'm like, I got a lot better this year too, and then he comes in and he got a lot better, and I'm like, God, you gotta be kidding me. But it's it's cool. I really respect him, and he's obviously got the ability, and I'll certainly see him in a year when he gets onto a 450. He'll be up there, and I'll be racing him for many years to come.
Okay. All right, we'll let you go. You got a celebration to get to. We'll talk 450s down the road. Congratulations. Yeah. Fans are partying. I don't even know what that is.
We've got some music in the background.
Try to grab Ferrandis here.
We'll try and grab Ferrandis.
Yeah.
You don't understand English.
He's good enough. Can you talk for a second? Yeah.
No English.
We got it. Yeah. Hey, that was a classy move. We saw you come over to talk to Adam. What impressed me, you guys battled January through August. You never really got too crazy with each other. I mean, there were some moves off the start. That happens. Yeah, look at this.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
But we never saw anybody take anybody out. And then you even came over here to chat with them after. I think that was pretty classy.
Yeah, the thing is we go pretty high speed every time. So if you want to do a crazy dirty move, it could be a disaster for both of us. So that's why I think we never take the risk, because seasons are long, and we have if you do a T-bone or whatever, and we both crash, or it could be bad for both of us. So I mean, I think from my point of view is that's why I never did something stupid. But yeah, for sure, I wish sometime I could help him, in a corner to crash a little bit, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like that, It's at the end the winner wins, so that's all.
You got to be proud of your season. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you also have a lot to celebrate.
Yeah.
A second overall on the year.
And a Supercross title.
Yeah. I mean,
couple win also, so that's pretty cool. So far my best season of my career, so for sure it's a good time to celebrate.
next year is your year.
Yeah, I mean, I will do everything I can, and we'll see. It's like this year. I will walk. I will do the best I can, and we count at the end of the day, at the end of the year.
All right. Thanks for coming over. Classy move, Dylan Ferrandis. It was a really great season for him. Best he's ever had.
Go ahead, finish that.
He's more than 21. He's fine. They're going to celebrate over a pro circuit.
Yeah.
The key is that they're going to put another one of these things on the door. It's been way too long.
You know what I have to say?
Yeah.
My next bike is going to be a Cowie.
Yeah, you cannot blow those things up.
I don't know if you guys have heard this or whatnot.
We got footage, yeah.
What are we going on, 3 hours? Yeah, you guys got footage of me doing that.
Yeah, like literally, they were not going to DNF today. That was maybe the one thing that could have ruined it. That bike was not going to blow up.
Yeah.
They tried.
I'm for sure buying a Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Actually, my first bike I started on.
Oh, it's Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Ah, you're like Team Green all the way.
Well, not my first bike. My first bike was a Suzuki, but 85 was Cowie.
Okay. Your first bike you really liked, maybe? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I don't know.
Because
okay.
you know what? I couldn't blow it up, and everybody knows how fast I was.
Yes. I mean, you were just wide open in the rev limiter the whole time.
Yeah.
You're probably better than me. That is our show. Hey, Carrie, thanks for joining in here at the end of the season. It's really fun. And as I always ask you, what was the podium scene like when Adam finally did it? Because as we said, he's become an absolute fan favorite now. What was it like down there?
Big time fan favorite.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot to look forward to next year. His fans, I mean, I saw some fat heads of him and Eli.
Yeah.
That whole hillside, I heard someone say it earlier, this is the most people that we've had in a couple years here. It probably had to do with the weather.
We finally didn't have rain.
Again.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, what?
Been pretty solid this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've had good weather recently. I don't know. But, with Adam, one of the things we always say is that we love interviewing him. When people ask us who's our favorite person to interview, it's him because he's so passionate about the sport. And I think just talking to him, we kind of saw that. It was like he was excited, but he said he was numb and he just wasn't too excited because he knows how much work he's put into it.
Yeah, good job, Carrie Bowling. Good to have her with us on the post shows. Thanks for Adam and Nick and Dylan for giving us time there. Let's get the other side of this situation, which is the Mitch Payton side. As difficult as the road has been for Adam Cianciarulo, you could easily argue it has been just as rough on Mitch Payton, who has been struggling to get championships that at one point seemed like automatics. You go back to 2005 when the 254 stroke really took over. There was about a 6-year span, I could probably say 7, where Pro Circuit was untouchable, especially outdoors. And it has certainly dried up since then. And by the way, 2013 is when Adam turned pro, so maybe if he had delivered immediately, there wouldn't have been a lull. So these two stories kind of coincide. They're finally back on top. This is great stuff from Mitch, but first you got to hear the revving bikes.
Well, look, one of the only things that could have messed up this championship today was if the bike blew up. So clearly, Mitch Payton, the bike was not going to blow up because an hour of burnout still hasn't blown this thing up. Good job.
No, I think we said it could do 2 more motos.
What? Did you change anything to make sure you had the most reliable motor ever, or is this what we could do every weekend?
No, that's the same spec we ran all year.
Okay, so look, it's been a little while since you've added a bunch of these number 1 plates to the door, especially outdoors. I know you've won a lot of these, but this one's got to be extra special, especially with a rider that's been through a lot and through it with you.
Yeah, no, it's been terrible, and honestly,
terrible.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
If you look back at it, we lost some championships by a little bit.
Yeah.
And even this year, in Supercross, they had great points advantages, and Austin got hurt, and then Adam fell down. And then for outdoors, it was start over, and we did that. And I give it to Adam. He really put the work in, and he did the best he could do. And he did I told him after Vegas, we'll never talk about that race again.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. that was hard to put that behind you in 2 weeks and win at Hangtown.
No, I know, but it was like I don't want to ever talk about it. I never watched that race on TV.
You didn't.
I never watched it.
Okay.
I couldn't watch it.
I'm sure.
I drove home and I had it recorded and I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I watched it live and it was devastating, and like that was one thing. And we talked about it that night, and I'm like, never want to talk about it again. And he did great of bouncing back out of that, and I'm like, I want you to use that for fuel, and I think he did. And I give Nick Wey a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I think Nick Wey helped him through some struggles and like really worked with him a lot. And our team, both motor-wise and suspension, like Adam and Adrian really worked really hard to get the bike better for him for outdoors. And it proved that they did a really good job. Like, I think our bike was fantastic. It was great on starts. It was great on suspension especially, and chassis. And I just think he rode a great series. He didn't win every moto, but he was on the box every single moto. And we always said, if you're on the box every time, that should get it done.
Yes.
And it did get it done. And he had a decent points lead even at the end of the series. So I love it.
I'm going to ask him the same thing. You had so much success for a long time, as did he as an amateur, and then it doesn't come for a while, as it did for your team. Does it make it that much better when you see, man, how hard this could be? Because for a while it was like, whoever they're putting on the team, they're probably going to win this 250 title. It worked that way for a while.
Well, it did, and then Adam was that guy that was supposed to win automatically, and he did. He won his very first Supercross race, and then he was second, and he would win, and he was second, and he would win. So he's always right there, and he'd have the red plate, and it looked like it was easy. And then when Adam got hurt, then it transferred to Martin, and Martin had the red plate, and then I said, we're still going to win because Martin's going to win. And then Martin was going to win, and then there was an accident in practice, and he broke his ankle, and he was out. And then it went to Baggett.
Yeah.
Baggett had the red plate.
Yeah.
And then Baggett got into an accident where...
His eye, right?
Well, no, but he tangled with somebody where it ripped his throttle cables out, and that was a bad deal. And then Bogo was in fourth, and then at the end of the series, we were 1, 2, 3, and we lost. And then Baggett had an accident testing for outdoors where he got something, like a lens. I don't remember exactly, but his eye got hurt.
Yeah.
And he was not as good that year coming in that he should have been. And so he struggled with that a lot. So we had a weak spot for a while, outdoors especially.
Yeah. So getting back to the top of the mountain is going to feel so good to finally get it, especially the way Supercross went. Like, you keep getting so close.
No, and I thought both guys had it. I didn't want to talk about it. I thought they both had it. All they had to do was finish the series, and it didn't happen. And then for Adam not to get that thing, that's sad.
Yeah.
But like for him to get a championship for us, and especially it's his last championship for us, and like for him to ride for us that long, and like to me to know him that long, like I knew him as a kid, and like I wanted him to have these things. Like, I really wanted him to win because we put so much work into it.
Yeah.
And like I remember when he was a kid, his dad drove out there in a motorhome and stayed in our parking lot.
Wow.
And then 2 years later, they rented our house, our old house, because I moved, and they rented our house, and like we were so close, and like it just never was happening. Like there was an injury after injury. Yeah. And like it was really hard on Adam too, because like, oh, I'm coming back from this, I'm coming back from that.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you got the naysayers that say he's never going to be the guy that should do it. And he should have been the guy that came in and it was easy.
Yeah.
And it was just the initial injuries kept compiling on top of each other, and I was worried, but this year outdoors, he looked like he had it together, and he got it together, and I'm glad to pass him off, and I'm glad he's going to ride for Kawasaki.
Yeah.
So he'll be a guy that's rode for Cowie from a little boy all the way to the big pro deal, and I think you're going to see great things out of Adam in Supercross. And, I think that's the one thing. Adam's, he won an outdoor title. I think that's great. But without injuries, I think he could have had 2 or 3 of those in Supercross.
Yeah.
Because that's what he really thrived on.
Yeah.
And outdoors, he was good at it, but, he just thrived on Supercross. And I really feel next year he's going to be great.
Cool. Last thing, when does the number 1 plate go on the door? How does this work?
When he gets back from his press conference.
Oh, you got it.
Yep.
It'll happen.
Yep.
All right, cool. Hey, thanks, Mitch. Cheers. Congratulations.
So that's good stuff from the boss man. Hope you're getting a little feel for the atmosphere underneath that tent there, also with hearing some of the background noise. And then we found some other people randomly hanging out because they're proud of Adam. They're buddies with him. Cole Seeley was there, so why not interview Cole?
It feels weird, though, to say, congratulations on retiring.
Yeah, a little weird.
You know what I mean? But congratulations on retiring, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll still be around, though.
Yeah.
I'll still be cruising around.
Right.
Yeah.
When I talked to you back at Thunder Valley, you're one of the things I wanted to do
ask me in September.
Yes,
Yeah.
you beat me to September,
Yeah.
August 1st.
Yeah.
But you said one thing you're proud of is you wanted to go out on your own terms. I know that you got hurt here, but you made it back from the big injury.
Yeah.
So now looking back, you're I had to retire, but I did do it my way. I didn't let the injury define me.
If I would have retired or quit last year, it didn't feel like I was going out on my own terms. So I wanted to come back, prove that I could ride with the best in the world, and then retire. And whether it was this year or next year or 3 years from now, I wanted to prove myself as a character, that I wanted to come back and fight it and prove that I could dominate that side of my life and put it in the past. So
now, as far as this guy goes, you know him well. You rode with him. You trained with him and all that. So
we were both injured last year. We took some trips together last year. So I couldn't be more proud of him. Just seeing what he's gone through, being at the highs as an amateur, kind of getting crushed as he turned pro, and then fighting his way back, and now being a champion. Even this year, in the Supercross season, I know he rode great all year, but to be defeated by Fernandez and then come back and I mean, let's face it, 12 rounds of outdoors is a lot harder than the West Coast Supercross series. So for him to be a champion at that means a lot more. Has a lot more, holds a lot more water.
Cool. Hey, thanks for hanging. Thanks for coming to the races. Don't be a stranger, right?
Oh no, I'll be around.
Cool.
So that's Cole Seeley. So much going on under that tent. It took Adam forever to get over there because he had to do so much other media, press conferences, one-on-one interviews. I swear the party went on for an hour before Adam even showed up. Then there was another hour with Adam, and then they had to go over to the series-ending banquet about a mile down the road to wrap up our season. You just have to soak up these moments. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. It was gone. It was gone. Cianciarulo was not going to make it. He was not going to be a champion. He was not going to reach the heights that everyone thought he was going to reach. It just looked too far gone. And then finally it was good in Supercross this year, and then that slipped away. And I thought for sure he was essentially mentally injured coming into outdoors, and there was no way it was going to work out. That's why you have to give him so much credit, because it would have been so easy to give up on these dreams, and he never did. And I think that's why the entire industry is happy. And that's why I wanted to use these clips, which you may have heard on YouTube, to just kind of freeze this moment in time. We don't know what the future will be for Adam on 450s, like we don't know what it will be for any rider. But this particular 250 title, I don't think can be looked at as the typical, okay, well, he's done it on a 250, but what does it mean for his 450 career tomorrow? Let's not worry about tomorrow right now. Let's just celebrate the fact that the kid we thought would be so good for the sport, but it wasn't going to work out, actually made it work out. It's awesome. Awesome for him. Awesome for his team. Awesome of you to listen to this. All brought to you, of course, by Yoshimura. 65 years of four-stroke research and development. Check them out at yoshimura-rd.com. Also follow them on social media. They've got a lot of really good stuff going there. Suzuki road race team, man. Clean it up just like the old days in what is now called Moto America. Of course, Yoshimura a huge hand in that. They've always had it. That's it for our show. We will see you next week. I'm actually off to a truck race this weekend, by the way, for Red Bull. Go to Red Bull TV on Saturday and Sunday if you want, and watch that. Myself and Cameron Steele will be giving the call at the famous Crandon Off-Road World Championships. Maybe I'll record some audio while I'm there and give you a little update. Jeremy McGrath is racing. That's rad, right? Okay, that's it for now. See you next week.